Only 2 minutes separated Barcelona from reaching the final in Munich. Yet, some voices were quick to mock the team's collapse, completely ignoring the reality at the club. Barcelona still lacks money. The bench is short. And many of the players wouldn't even make the extended squad of most other Champions League semi-final teams. If we want to be fair, we have to consider where they started. And at no point did that starting point include being minutes away from the Allianz Arena. Yes, appetite grows with success, but we can't turn Barcelona's players into victims of their own overachievement. They raised their level beyond all expectations, and we can't expect miracles just because of the badge on their shirts. This was the club's first Champions League semi-final in 6 years. That's a massive turnaround from where they were just a year ago. And Flick, the coach, had to face even tougher challenges along the way. In the match against Inter, the starting fullbacks were reserve players, Gerard Martin and Eric Garcia. And Garcia wasn't even playing in his natural position. The most important figure in attack was 17-year-old Lamine Yamal. In defense, it was his peer, Pau Cubarsí. The team couldn't use their top scorer, who had already netted 40 goals this season. And as the game wore on, players like Paul Victor and Hector Fort came on. They were fighting for a place in the final. And while their effort was undeniable, they're simply not ready for this level yet. And that's why, even though they were eliminated, the fact that fans feel disappointed is already a huge win. Both teams delivered one of the best semi-finals in recent memory. Barcelona has already sealed the league title. After their win over Real Madrid, and with a 7-point cushion heading into the final 3 matches, La Liga is now mathematically theirs. Add to that the Copa del Rey, and Barça closes the season with 2 major trophies. No matter what happens next, no one in their right mind should question the work of the German coach. What he's built in such a short time, both in results and playing style, is nothing short of remarkable. Lewandowski, nearly pushed out of the club, now has 40 goals. Pedri, finally healthy for an entire season, has become a key player. Rafinha, involved in 57 goals, up from just 23 a year ago. Even Frenkie de Jong is finally reaching the level people expected back in 2019. And the way they're playing matters too. Barcelona hasn't looked this dangerous in Europe since 2015, nearly a decade ago. Hansi Flick's attacking football is a perfect match for this young team, full of players obsessed with scoring goals. Their matches are full of action on both sides. Think of the 5-2 win against Real, the 4-1 over Bayern, the 4-4 with Atletico, or the 5-4 against Benfica. We're not used to results like that anymore, because modern football is more cautious and tactical. But Barça plays with a high defensive line, which doesn't just boost their offense, it gives their opponents chances too. That's why their matches are so entertaining. Even Inter, known for its defense this season, scored 7 and conceded 6 over 2 legs. Barcelona's matches are thrilling, not just because of their talent, but because so much happens on both ends of the pitch. Their playing style may be their biggest achievement this season. They've won over neutral fans and brought back joy to their own. Hansi Flick has turned this team into a mental powerhouse. It feels like no scoreline is safe against them. Even when everything is going wrong, they find a way to turn the game around. Their style is like a vulture circling its prey, waiting for the right moment to strike. They've done it time and again, against Atletico, in the Champions League semi-final, and in the Copa del Rey final. Once they catch that wave of momentum, they become almost unstoppable. This version of Barcelona is easy to admire. And don't forget, this is Barcelona, a club that for years had become a symbol of failure in Europe. Just a year ago, one of the captains was publicly upset because İlkay Gündoğan asked for more focus and professionalism. Barça couldn't even come back in league games against mid-table teams. If they went 1-0 down, they often lost control. Flick seems like the right coach for this era of Barcelona. He doesn't complain. He works with what he's got, and even manages to hide the club's off-field issues with good performances. He connects well with young players, and they clearly trust him. The biggest shift is happening inside the locker room. You could tell just by listening to the players' comments throughout the season. Time and again, they took subtle jabs at the former coach, while praising the new one. The player who's benefited the most from Hansi Flick's arrival is Rafinha. Just last summer, he was seriously considering leaving the club. The only thing that stopped him was a phone call from Flick, who told him he had a plan for him. Rafinha now openly says he owes everything to the German coach. And if not for his drop in form at the most crucial moment of the season, who knows? He might have been a top contender for the Ballon d'Or. And Rafinha's not the only one. Several players, who many had already given up on, have come alive again under Flick. He's revived almost everyone, not just the ones who clearly regressed under Xavi. For the first time in a while, the players feel like there's a real pilot in the cockpit, a true captain steering the ship, and everything feels under control. Even though the atmosphere around the team is friendly and upbeat, Flick still keeps everyone in check. It doesn't matter how old you are, how good you are, or how much you praise him. Everyone is held accountable. But even with all these positive changes, we can't forget one simple fact. Barca still has major financial problems. And yet, despite all that, by May 6th, Barcelona was still in the race for the treble. That alone is a huge achievement. In the match against Inter, once Araujo, Lopez, Gavi and Lewandowski were on the pitch, all realistic substitution options were basically used up. They had to bring on Paul Victor and Hector Fort, while Inter was bringing on stars like Zielinski, Fratesi, De Vrij, Taremi, Darmian and Augusto. The next transfer window could be absolutely crucial. The club needs to use the money earned in Europe wisely and bring in some strong rotation players. We all remember that the project before Flick was extremely unstable. It had to be pitched really well for anyone to believe in it. Now, that chaos feels under control. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if a big-name player chooses Barca. Not for the money, but for the challenge and the chance to grow. Because that's what Barca offers under Flick. New signings have plenty of evidence of how this coach can develop players. And that's a big advantage in any negotiation. Barcelona is no longer attractive only because of the crest or the city. Now it has a coach who builds something real. That said, Flick isn't perfect, and Barca isn't flawless either. And let's be clear, this isn't about painting a perfect picture. Barcelona has had its crises. They've made dumb, avoidable mistakes. But the way they turned things around this quickly is still impressive. Getting so close to the Champions League final in such a short time is something fans should be proud of. I don't know if they'll have another season like this next year. I don't know if they'll become even stronger, or if this was their one big push. But here's what we do know. This has been their best season in Europe since at least 2015. And the whole club deserves credit for that. Last year, they only made the quarterfinals, and it ended with a bitter taste. This year, they made the semifinals. That's clear progress. That's why I don't get all the complaining after the match about the referees. It just leaves a sour note. Instead of remembering a great game on both sides, people are left talking about whining over a referee's call. And it wouldn't sting as much if it weren't for the hypocrisy. Just 2 weeks earlier, Barcelona's camp was mocking Real Madrid TV. Sure, better decisions could have been made. And yes, Marciniak probably should have gone to the monitor at least twice more. But honestly, everything was so close, it's hard to say there was any clear robbery. Most of the decisions can be reasonably defended. Barca didn't lose because of the ref. They lost because they let in 7 goals over 2 legs. They lost because of Araujo's recklessness, because the defense fell apart, and because players like Olmo, Rafinha, and Ferran didn't step up when it mattered most. Thank you for staying with us until the end of this video. Until next time.